All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
Hold on. So my browser failed to do the clip. We're live. I need to here. Can people in chat hear us? This is the worst, weirdest start of all time. Let me see if we're actually live though, and it just absolutely skips. So someone in YouTube chat, give me a thumbs up that we're live. Worst intro of all time. If this is running, if not, I have no clue what's going on. Still nobody in chat letting us know. Yes, we're live. Yes. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. I have no clue what's going on. Skip the awesome SHIPIT Nation music, though. We are live. Happy Wednesday. Parabai, I miss your entry, man. You're in here, though. You are the story of the day. Shipper, the single entry contest going on. Shipped both of them yesterday. Pretty much the Stone Cold Nuts. The Stone Cold Nuts, I think, actually left 1,600 in the flagship, but sick team Parabai. He's given back the 222 ticket. He's given to a member. He's going to pick that in Discord. Go to SHIPIT Nation Twitter and check that out. He's also being very generous in giving away 3 monthly memberships, all of the sports, not just PGA only, all sports to non-members out here. So how we're going to do it, just do it like the NFL shows. Put a comment. You're not a member, why you should get one. Parabai, I know you're in here. If you want to pick 3 out of the YouTube chat that you see, you can DM me and do that. Otherwise, Rio and I will be looking through comments throughout the show as well. So shout out you, Parabai. $16,000 night. Always in the Discord helping. We talk about it a lot. We have a lot of good coordinators like ourselves. We help out. But, man, the members just as important to the community, to the Discord. Parabai always in there helping people out. So shout out you, Parabai. And a lot of other members did win as well. Rio, I'll toss it to you for the worst, weirdest entry of all time. I'm glad we're live, though, and that got taken care of. But how you doing on this Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, doing good for sure. Caught me off guard with the intro. I always get a little hyped up when we get the music going. But, yeah, shout out to Parabai. Great night for him. Really sharp member, always in the Discord, talking in the mornings. Always good to pop in there. I come in a little bit late, but I see – they're always talking it up early in the morning, so he's a sharp guy. A lot of people say that having the Discord pays for your membership in itself, and guys like Parabai are definitely a reason why. Super sharp dude, so shout out to him, and definitely a well-deserved night. But, as far as this slate goes, very, very fun one. Obviously, already got the injury news about Jokic being out. We got all the OKC stuff. All those guys are in. Zion midday downgrade, which seems like it happens every single day from – every day he's always popping up on the injury report. So we'll definitely do our best to break it down. But yeah, I'm really liking the slate. Just published the slate plan right before we went up here, so all of our members can take a look at that. But you'll hear a lot of my thoughts, and they'll kind of mimic what I wrote in the slate plan.
Yeah, so for any members out there, slate plan up. Again, we have cash report, GPP core report, showdown, projections updated throughout. Saw Boomer push an update through projections just minutes before the show. Will be updated throughout the day, too. When injury news hits, of course, you need updated projections throughout the night. We got you covered over here. Golf locks tomorrow. Golf back in full force. MMA, 11 weeks in a row. Very exciting stuff there. NHL still going as well. Head over to SHIPITNation.com. Use that promo code MAYO. Gets you 10%. Man, it's not letting me click anything of this. There we go. Something's going on with the computer, but 10% off any single package. I will say, I would recommend not doing this yet, though. Wait for the 3 giveaways that Parabai is doing to get a chance for that. And again, just put a comment in chat why you want to be a member. Rio, I might have you have to host this in a little bit. My computer's lagging over here. All right, before we go game by game, 9 to talk about, so we'll dive in to the good stuff. Always got to say hi to our people. Ben's in here, Parabai, Robert, Sean Sullivan, Lachlan's in here, Lyle's in here, Michael W., Jordan. Talk about Discord in the morning. He's always in there wishing people a good morning. Could be Travis, Lyle in here, Juice in here. What's going on? Mario, James, Joe Madness, Andrew Martinez. Appreciate that. Andrew, Gator Nation's in here. D-Lo, he absolutely was awful yesterday. That was very hurtful for sure. Shout out Lyle. 6-month deal is too good to pass up. Yep, monthly, 6-month annual keeps getting better and cheaper as it does go out. Shout out to you. Jasmine in here as well. Jake's in here. Tim's in here. That's enough of that. I hope everybody out there having a good day. And again, Mayo gets you 10% off any package. Like button helps us out a ton. Completely free. Takes 1 second out of your day. Enough of that, Rio. 9 games on tap. Chicago Bulls, Charlotte Hornets, 215 total. Chicago favored by 5.5. on the injury report for the Bulls, not much has changed. Patrick Williams is out still. Zach LaVine's still out. As far as the Hornets, LaMelo's doubtful. Mark Williams still out. Gordon Hayward's still out. Before I throw it to you in this game, I will say the story of the slate, it's Denver and it's Dallas. No Luka, no Jokic, two of the best players in the NBA. When they're out, obviously, that is the focus of the slate. So with that being said, take away this first game of the night. Any interest?
Yeah, I do have interest in this game. The Hornets obviously have been a team to attack all season long. I think they're dead last in defensive rating now. Always been a really bad interior defensive team. They're bottom 5 rim defense, bottom 5 3-point defense. Bulls have been pretty solid. In January, they're a top 9 defensive team, but they're still playing pretty slow. But they do have some holes in their defense. Both these teams are pretty big 3-point funnels. The Bulls are dead last in 3-pointers allowed per game, and they also allow the most points per game to catch and shoot shooters. So this is a pretty solid spot for guys like Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, and the Bulls are also giving up the most points per possession to pick and roll men. So I think that even Nick Richards makes a lot of sense. And we know the way that Steve Clifford likes to coach, he's not going to go very deep into his bench. He's going to play his guys pretty heavy minutes. We've seen Bridges play 40 minutes a night, Miller getting up there close to 40 minutes a night. PJ will see somewhere between the mid 30s, and then Nick Richards has been playing upper 30s minutes in back-to-back games. So I think all those guys are very much in play here tonight. And on the Bulls side, the one I'm most excited about, I think that Kobe White, DeMar DeRozan are totally fine plays, but I really like this matchup more for Nikola Vucevic. The Hornets really bad defensively versus opposing centers. They're bottom 2 in DVP, 2 centers on the season, and they're allowing 5th most points at the rim and 3rd most points per possession to pick and roll men. So kind of a similar story of both these teams playing slow and pace and giving up points in a similar fashion. So I think that Vucevic makes a lot of sense. And then Ayo Dosunmu going to continue to start for Patrick Williams. He's been great since entering the starting lineup. Past 6 games, he's averaging 27.6 DK points per game. So I think that he is a pretty solid value option, which might go overlooked now with all of the value opening up in OKC and obviously all the value on the Dallas side of things, and possibly even more value in New Orleans if some of those questionable tags were to miss. But those would be the main guys I would look to, Vucevic and Ayo on the Bulls side, and then Bridges, Miller, PJ, and Nick Richards all make my player pool. I guess I should mention Cody Martin as well. He saw a pretty big ball handling role last game with LaMelo Ball out, but I think Brandon Miller probably end up taking over that role. But yeah, he was kind of acting more as a point guard with Ish Smith going back to the bench and them running this bigger lineup with PJ at the 4.
Yeah, this game is, man, when you're talking game stacks, this was maybe my favorite game stack of the night. I mean, all the prices are fair, and we're not worried about, like, talking injury news. This game locks, obviously, first game at 7 Eastern. Not really too much injury news on this slate. The Zion Q downgrade, it's an hour after lock, which is obviously a little important. But Jared Allen, the other biggest news, that game locks right at 7 Eastern as well, so we'll get that news. So I'm good locking people in this game. Ownership-wise, I think some of these guys get some, but it's a 9-game slate. And again, with Dallas and Denver as the story of the slate, it's going to be spread out kind of. I'm good. I mean, how many pieces max on each team? Would you set any max? Like, I'm good rolling Vooch, Ayo, Bridges, Cody Martin. Like, there's 4 there, and I wouldn't even mind adding a PJ Washington. I don't know. I'm not the biggest DeMar guy, but the price is fine. I mean, all these guys, I mean, like, there's like 10 guys in this game, pretty much the starters, that are all fairly priced. Solid rolls, projecting fine. I mean, how many is too many, I guess. You don't want to ignore all the other spots with Dallas and Denver, but you'd be fine with like 4 of these guys or something, or like Vooch, Bridges, DeRozan, and a value, something like that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be out on DeRozan. Personally, I just like this spot much better for Vooch and Ayo, so I think that those would probably be the 2 guys. I would be okay playing both of them. I think that 3 to 4 in this game is probably enough with it being a pretty big slate, but I do agree. I mean, both these teams are running really tight rotations and playing heavy minutes for their guys, and it's a pretty solid matchup. So I would be okay getting to 4 of these guys. Would love your take on a Max 1 PJ and Nick Richards. I guess they don't really eat into each other that much. PJ is not really a big rebounding guy, kind of more of the scorer type, and Nick Richards gets most of his fantasy scoring from, getting a double-double, points and rebounds type stuff. So I guess I would be okay playing those two in the same lineup, but
I'd be fine with it. For their prices in center today, like DeAndre Jordan, by far the best center. Vooch is also a solid one, but there's a lot of other good positions out there. It's not like it's for sure a 2-center night, and playing Nick Richards is like kind of burning a spot. So because of that, I think I'd be fine with it. But yeah, I'd be fine with it, I would say. I wouldn't group it away from each other. MME probably wouldn't get there in a hand build, though. What else we got? Oh, yeah, shout out to you as well, Ross K. He was in first for a while, heading into the late games as well, but ended up fourth to Paraby in the 222. Another guy always in Discord. So shout out to you, Ross. And I see a lot of people coming in about the membership. Yeah, keep dropping it. If you're not a member and you would like one, drop it in there. My eyes are out there. And Paraby, again, if you do want to pick someone, if you see something out there, message me in Discord, and I'll announce it on the show. If you want to pick all three, you can pick all three. Otherwise, Rio and I can pick some too. Yes, Jokic is out. Luka is out as well. So that is why Denver and Dallas, two of the bigger stories on the slate. But yeah, I like that first game, Chicago, Charlotte. No doubt about that.
Can I bring up one comment from Newlands really quick? Because I did kind of overlook this. I know we won't be able to get to a lot of questions here with it being a big slate. But Julian Phillips, been playing more minutes lately. And I think Dalen Terry had a pretty bad ankle turn, so he might be out for a few games. So I think that Julian Phillips could make your player pool 3.2K. Gonna probably see more minutes at the 3/4 spot with Dalen Terry out, but yeah, good catch on that one.
Cool. Let's keep it going. Next game on the slate, one that is a lot less appealing than this first game. Detroit heading to Cleveland, 231 total. Cleveland big favorites at 12 on the injury report here. Detroit, Isaiah Stewart's out. As far as Cleveland side, Garland and Jarrett Allen are questionable. If they're both in, I pretty much have no interest in this game. Pretty big news there for Allen. Again, they do have Mobley back as well, who will be on a minutes limit. As far as this game, though, like I said, Detroit side, pretty healthy, easy fade for me there. Cleveland, I would need one of these guys to be out. And I don't know. If Jarrett Allen is in, I think he's fine. D-Mitch at 9.6 is always fine. But on this slate, 9 games, blowout risk a little bit. Definitely other more interesting spots for me. So I guess just Allen or D-Mitch if these Q tags, Allen and Garland, are in. How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I think the Pistons, you could easily cross off tonight with with them getting Cade back, kind of takes off all of the value pieces, and this is a really bad matchup. The Cavaliers, one of the best defensive teams in the league, looking to get back to full strength with Mobley returning and Darius Garland set to return tonight. Definitely have to keep an eye on it. If both those guys were to miss, or if Garland and Allen were to miss, I think you can go to some of these guys on Cleveland. I do like this matchup a lot for Donovan Mitchell, but 9.6K, pretty tough price tag to swallow for him. But yeah, really good matchup. The Pistons are one of the worst rim defenses in the league. They're giving up the second most points per game to pick and roll ball handlers, and Donovan Mitchell's top 9 in the league in points per game in pick and roll situations. So I think that's a really solid matchup for him. And same for Jarrett Allen. They are one of the worst teams to pick and roll men as well. And Jarrett Allen's been playing awesome. Was totally fine last night, largely unaffected with Evan Mobley returning with him being on a minutes limit. So I think that Allen would be a totally fine play at 7.7K. But those are the only two I'm really looking to get to in this game.
Awesome. Lockstep there. And Paraby said we'll pick them. So again, we have 3 to give out, Rio. I'll do the first one because I got someone right now. You look for someone else. If you see another one, you can pick 2 as well. If I'm navigating the show, if you don't, I can find someone at the end. But Michael W., you are the first one. And no, it's not just because you got a Badgers logo. You are always in here. NBA, NFL, all the different shows. Always having good comments in the chat, participating. We love to see it. So you do get a chance to be a member. Thanks to our man Paraby. Monthly membership. All you need to do is screenshot your YouTube, a picture of it, and email, excuse me, info@shipitnation.com. I just dropped it in the YouTube chat as well. So shout out to you, Michael. You get the first membership from our man Paraby. Still 2 ones to give away. Again, great stuff, Paraby. I love to see that. Like button helps us out a ton. 2 more memberships to give away. Still a bunch of games to talk about. Los Angeles Clippers, Washington Wizards. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. This game still is 236 total. Clippers big favorites at 11. PG is questionable. So obviously if he's out, Harden, Kawhi, very, very popular they would be. Nothing else on that side. As far as Washington, outside of Shamet, they are healthy, so they are pretty much fully healthy. Washington side, Kuzma is maybe a contrarian play, if anything, but I think that's another easy team to cross off for me. Then the Clippers, Harden, Kawhi. I mean, if PG's out, for sure, they'd be very, very popular on this slate. You could play them both together. If PG's in, still great price tags, 8-2 and 8-5. Would you max one? Is if PG was in, is my question.
Yeah, if Paul George is in, I'm definitely max one on this large of a slate. There's some really solid options in that upper mid tier. So I don't really want to get super deep into this game. Also, just looking at our ceiling rankings, which has been a really great addition to the site. Neither one of James Harden or Kawhi Leonard rates that well in terms of paying off their current price tags, and pretty big sample size for both of them. I mean, James Harden only hitting 6x 13% of the time, Kawhi only 18% of the time, only 7x 4% of the time. That's not really going to win it for you on a big slate like this. I do think that obviously the situation gets much better, and we could look to them if Paul George were to be out. Harden sees his usage climb up to 26%, averages almost 50 DK points per 36 minutes. Obviously, really solid matchup versus the Wizards, who towards the bottom in DVP versus point guard, just one of the worst overall defense in the league. And same story for Kawhi. He's been shooting the ball really well lately. But yeah, I don't know. I think I want like 55 to 60 from guys in this range. I'm not sure if they can do it with Paul George in, but definitely a much different situation if Paul George were to be out. I do think that there's a good chance that he sits, though, because he's been dealing with this groin injury for a while. I think they're on a pretty big East Coast road trip right now. Good chance for him to get a night off versus one of the worst teams in the league. So obviously we would look to these guys a little bit differently if Paul George were to be out. And if he is too, I think you can look to Norman Powell, Russell Westbrook. Both these guys see pretty big usage bump with Paul George off the court this season. Would like Westbrook a lot more, just it being a pace up spot. He thrives in those types of games. Get out transition. He can fill the stat sheet, obviously triple double threat when he gets the minutes. I think that he would make sense. And then last one I'll mention on the Clippers side, Mason Plumlee. On paper, really strong matchup. Centers have killed the Wizards all season long. Their rim defense has gotten a little bit better under the new head coach. So I'm not sure. I mean, we know what Daniel Gafford is, so I don't think that it's really here to stay. But Plumlee, 4.6K, I think he's fine to keep into your player pool. And then on the Wizards side of things, Kuzma, his usage has ticked up under the new head coach, getting more ball handling. He's definitely their best offensive weapon, 7.8K reasonable price tag. If you want to get into like a game stack in this game, he'd be the first one I'd look to. And then the other one I would keep in my player pool would be Tyus Jones. The Clippers are a little bit more vulnerable to pick and roll ball handlers. He's obviously the lead point guard for this team, so I think that he would make a little bit of sense. Been playing much better, much more minutes lately, and he's always been a really solid fantasy point per minute guy in years prior outside of this season. But those would be the only two I would keep in my player pool.
Yeah, my thoughts as well, kind of, Jordan. Like, why not rest them, especially with what Rio just said? Then Kawhi and Harden would be very, very strong plays. If PG's in, I'd max one. Just think they're all right plays. I was going to ask you about Plumlee, so I'm glad you mentioned them. Like, if you had to pick him or Nick Richards, obviously different prices and stuff, but low-owned centers on this slate, what would you go?
I think I'll go with Richards just because the minutes are there for him and kind of a equally as good matchup. They're kind of splitting the center minutes down the middle between him and Tyus. They can also go more small ball, which is definitely reasonable against a team like the Wizards with Marvin Bagley. It's kind of an undersized center, so I think that they could go more small and not split 48 center minutes down the middle, which would definitely take away some of the upside off of Plumlee.
Makes a lot of sense. And like this comment a lot, Mike. I mean, man, if you read that slate plan, if you remember, I assume if you remember in playing NBA, you're always reading it. But if not, definitely check it out. Very in-depth. Rio does a lot of work, digs up a lot of stats. So definitely a great read on a nightly basis, just like I think the cash report. Rather, if you play cash or just tournaments, etc., I think you should be looking at it, see who the chalk is, etc. Rio mentioned the ceiling rankings, correlation tools. We have a lot more projections. You need it. We have a lot more stuff on top of projections. Knowing ball, pair by a lot of other members in chat talking about it. Find your own process. A lot of people in Discord have talked about that as well. So love that comment. Mike, what's going on? -150. can line in, talk about another good day. Shout out to you, always grinding for years on end. I see it as well, James. What's going on? Appreciate those words. Let's keep it going. 3 games at 7. We talked about those. The 1 game at 7:30 Eastern. Sacramento Kings, Miami Heat. 229 total. Heat favored by 2. Duncan Robinson's out for Miami. Nothing else to talk about here. I'll just throw it right to you, but you can start with Jimmy Butler. Knicks now the favorites to get him. Interesting stuff if you want to have any take there, and then you can talk about today, DFS, what does the Kings and the Heat do on this slate?
Oh, I must have missed that. I didn't even know that Butler was on the table for trade discussions right now. I thought that the Heat were just going to be buyers, but that would be interesting.
Sounds like he might be shit. As the time has went on, it looks more and more likely that he is going to go. But I saw the Knicks like plus 210 or something.
Okay. Like that. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty interesting fit. They would have no shooters on the starting lineup with him in there with Randall and OG. But that would be interesting. I think that he would fit there, unless they're making a trade for Randall, which I doubt they would be doing, but it's possible.
Tobias over me. Heck yeah, man. I love it. Love the competitiveness.
Yep. Jimmy Butler's a baller, but as far as this game goes, the Heat are struggling right now, so I guess it does make sense why they'd be talking about trades. They're losers of 7 straight games. Their offense has just been awful over the past 7 games. They're dead last in offensive rating. Their defense is bottom 3 over that stretch of games. And just looking deeper into how they've been getting beaten, their rim defense has still held up. Obviously, Bam Adebayo, one of the best rim protectors in the league, but their 3-point defense has been terrible. They are allowing the most 3-pointers per game over the past 7 games. So this should be a pretty good spot for Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, I guess Harrison Barnes to a lesser degree, De'Aaron Fox. And the Kings have they've been solid in the month of January. Their rim defense has held up, top 3 in rim defense in January, but they've also struggled to contain 3-point shooters. They're dead last in the league in allowing 3-pointers per game in January right now in 2024. As far as matchups go, though, on the Sacramento side, I'm not too interested in Domantas Sabonis for the reasons I mentioned. Just not a great matchup. Bam, one of the lone bright spots for this Miami team over their current losing streak. So I don't think Sabonis can put up a big scoring night, but he does have the triple-double upside, but getting a ton of those in the new year. So I think that he could grind his way to a pretty solid game. 10K is an okay price tag, and with there not being very many spend-up options, I think that you might end up falling on him, which would be okay, but not my favorite option. And De'Aaron Fox, kind of similar. The Heat are a little bit more vulnerable to on-ball defenders. Or I guess they're worse with their on-ball defense. So it's a little bit better spot for him. I think I prefer him to Sabonis, but he just has not shown the same ceiling, has not been as aggressive as he was earlier in the season. So I don't know if I really like it. I think I would much rather look to guys like Keegan Murray and Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter in this matchup a little bit more, with the Heat being more vulnerable to 3-point shooters. Huerter and Keegan Murray playing pretty big minutes right now. Huerter's been playing great as well. In every game over the past 7 to 10 games where he's seen 30 minutes, he's scored no less than 33 DraftKings points in those games. So I think, when he gets the minutes, he's a pretty consistent scorer. So I like him the most in this game, but Keegan Murray right behind him. And then on the Heat side, Bam, really cheap, 8K for him. The Kings been much better with the rim defense. His usage has come way down with the addition of Terry Rozier, with Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler getting healthier. So, upside maybe a little bit limited, but this is a really, really solid price tag for Bam, I think. Jimmy as well, really cheap, 7.2K. I would imagine he sees Keegan Murray defensively, which is kind of enough for me to be off him. Keegan Murray's been actually one of the best on-ball defenders this season, which is a bit of a surprise, with him kind of being more known as a 3-point shooter, but he's been really solid lockdown defender this year. And then they've talked about getting Terry Rozier more involved offensively. The beat writers have been talking about that, which kind of makes me want to pump the brakes a little bit on Tyler Hero, who I do like the most on the Heat side from a matchup perspective. But I think that he would kind of be the one most affected if they did get Terry Rozier more involved. So I think one of these guys makes some sense, with the Kings being more vulnerable to 3-point shooters. I like the spot a little bit better for Hero, but I do have a little bit of a hesitation getting to him with that news on Terry Rozier.
Yeah, I think Hero, Jimmy, Bam, with your talks now with Rozier, I think all of them would be fine. They're all going to be low owned, but I probably just want to max one. Like, I don't love any of them, but with their ownership, all of them you can't. I mean, Jimmy at 7-2, he does have 50-point upside. You take that any day. Dan can get you a 55. Hero, Rozier get you 45. So I'd be good max one. I'd also be good with no heat though. Sacramento side, think Sabonis is fine. Yeah, I don't really like the Sacramento side. I was trying to listen a lot what you were saying, but I also trying to get this giveaway all locked down. If you didn't have anyone, Rio, I have I got 5 names so far that people asked. Again, I'll give one last chance. If you don't have membership and you want it, go in the YouTube chat, say why. But we have 2 still to give. If you want to pick one, you can, and then I'll randomize the last one of names I got in my phone. I'll ask you a number. Everyone has a number next to them. We'll go that way. If you do have someone, though, you can pick and we'll just randomize the last one. So you can be on the lookout for that. We still got a good amount of games to talk about. Toward the end of the show, we'll circle back. But if I'm on my phone, I'm writing down names for the giveaway. Let's keep it rolling. 9 games to talk about. No time to waste. Again, appreciate that like button, though. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Hope you all having a good Wednesday. 8 p.m. Eastern, New Orleans Pelicans, Houston Rockets, 232 total. Pelicans favored by 2. Nothing on the injury report for Houston side. Pelicans, Herb Jones is questionable. Not sure how much that really means on this slate in terms of ownership in this game. Sengun, I think it's a little bit at center. DeAndre Jordan, though, will be the most popular center, a punt center. So if you do go Sengun, double center route, I think his ownership stays in check. Houston side, by far more interesting. Oh, I didn't mention, I guess, Pelicans. Zion was a midday downgrade as well. So Herb Jones questionable. Zion midday downgrade. If he's out, sign me up for the CJ, the Ingrams of the world. I'll just throw it right to you, though, because is Trey Murphy, Larry Nance, like, if Herb Jones does play and Zion's out, I think this game actually is a little more interesting than I initially thought, especially if Zion does miss. Take it away.
Yeah, so obviously the Zion news would have a pretty big impact on the outlook of this game. We've seen Trey Murphy step into the starting lineup in games that Zion has missed. But yeah, Trey Murphy he's struggling right now, and I believe he was a DNP over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. It seems that Jordan Hawkins has kind of leapfrogged him in the depth chart. I might be making that up, but I know that Hawkins has kind of been coming for his minutes a little bit, with Murphy kind of struggling a little bit. But yeah, we have seen Murphy step into the starting lineup, so I would probably imagine he does that again here, and should be a pretty good spot too. The Rockets have been a really solid defense all year long, one of the better rim protections in the league, but they've given up the 6th most 3-pointers in the month of January. Pelicans in front of them, they allow the 2nd most 3-pointers per game, much more vulnerable to catch and shoot guys. Pelicans on-ball defense has been really good, but would get much worse if Herb Jones were to miss. Talk about him a lot, him being an elite on-ball defender. Definitely numbers have shown it, with the Pelicans being a really solid defense over the past couple weeks to months. So I do think that it has a pretty big impact on the fantasy outlook of some of these Rockets guys. But yeah, if Herb were to miss, probably see more Dyson Daniels, Najee Marshall. Probably going to see more of those guys anyways if Zion were to miss here, but would definitely see more usage funnel to guys like Ingram, to CJ McCollum. We'd see Jonas Valanciunas' minutes be a little bit safer. We've seen him kind of lose minutes to Larry Nance at times. We've seen his upside, his rebounding upside, take a hit in games where Zion is in. So yeah, if Zion's out, I think you can look to all of those guys. Probably would want Trey Murphy though. Just kind of, I don't know. I'm a little worried about him right now, just not shooting the ball too well. He's known as a really solid 3-point shooter, but just has not shot the ball well this year. And then on the Rocket side, really love the spot for Alperen Sengun. He's just playing amazingly right now. Scored no less than 57 DK points in 4 of his last 6 games. Ceiling ranking number looked good as well, hitting 7x his current price tag over 10% of the time. He dominated the first matchup that these teams faced off, went for 37, 11, and 6. The Pelicans not the best rim defense with Jonas Valanciunas down low, so I really like the spot for Sengun. Fred VanVleet would make a lot more sense if Herb Jones were to miss, but he's just shooting terribly right now. Cannot hit a shot to save his life. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I would much rather get to Jalen Green. He's just playing out of his mind right now, and also randomly started rebounding the ball really well. 3 straight games of double-digit rebounds. Shot volume has been way up there, 20-plus shots in 3 of his last 4 games, with 7+ three-pointers in all 4 of those games. So he would be a good option at 6.5K. And then Jabari Smith came back from injury last game, played a ton of minutes, 36 minutes. Matchup would be a little bit easier for him if Zion were to miss as well. But those would be the main guys. I guess if you want to toss in Cam Whitmore in the large field GPP stuff, he's been playing really well, but just been extremely efficient, not really playing a ton of minutes outside of the game versus Brooklyn, which I believe was a blowout. But yeah, that's pretty much it in this game for me.
Would you have any interest in Zion if he plays at 7-3?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, if Zion's out, though, for sure. Like CJ 6'9", Ingram only 7'5". Very, very strong plays for sure. Good points on Trey Murphy. Larry Nance just center eligible on DK. Again, I think that is fine. Zion's obviously the very big news. If Zion's in and Herb Jones is out, I don't think it really moves the needle much for me. I'd still max probably one Ingram, Zion, CJ if they are in, at least in hand build stuff for sure. I like Sengun. You didn't really like Fred VanVleet much. I think I can get away with that a little bit. So Zion news an hour after lock, very important for sure. Herb Jones news important in this game as well. Keep it going. 3 games left on the slate. This next one, very important. I mean, 2 of these games coming up, very important. Nuggets, Dallas, but Mavericks head to Minnesota, 221 total. Minnesota favored by 13. On the Dallas side, why this game's so big for DFS? No Luka, no Kyrie, no Derek Lively, Dante Exum doubtful, Derek Jones Jr. doubtful. Man, looking at this squad, they're going to get dogged. This team is trash. Minnesota side, Conley questionable. I don't know why he'd play. Dude, what? Jaden Hardy, Tim Hardaway, Josh Green, Grant Williams, Maxi Kleba with Prosper, Dwight Powell, Rashawn Holmes off the bench. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success. But, I mean, how much Dallas, like, someone's got to score. Hardaway, Jaden Hardy, Grant Williams, Josh Green, Maxi Kleba, all these guys are in play. Would you group any of these guys away? How many's too many? And then Minnesota's not really going to get ownership. But if this game does somehow stay close and you have all these Dallas pieces, you got to think one of Cat, probably just Cat or Ant. Gobert can have a good game regardless. But I don't know. Break this all away. Start with the Dallas side.
Yeah, so obviously Jaden Hardy, we've seen these situations in the past. He's the clear-cut best value on the slate, probably 4.4K. Kid's just a baller. He's going to take a ton of shots. Obviously, tough matchup versus the Timberwolves, one of the best defenses in the league. I believe they're still the best defense in the league. So this team could definitely struggle to score. I'm kind of fine getting away from Tim Hardaway Jr. personally. With him being 6K, it's not a screaming value by any means. Obviously, going to see – I mean, he has a huge, huge usage bump with those guys off the court this season. I believe it's above 40%. Averages like 51 DK points per 36 minutes. I just think that this game has a really strong chance to blow out. We have seen the Timberwolves let some teams keep it close with the Wizards last week. Obviously, the Charlotte Hornets game with the Karl-Anthony Towns scoring 62 in a loss. But I just don't think that this Mavericks roster is going to be able to score a lot of points, and the Wolves take away a lot of catch and shoot stuff, which is Tim Hardaway's weapon offensively. He would be one of the first guys to be pulled should this game blow out. So I'm kind of okay getting away from Tim Hardaway Jr., where he'll be probably close to 50%. But I do agree with you though with the Ant Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. I think that if you're playing some of these main rotation guys in the Mavericks, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, Grant Williams, mainly those 3, because I don't see a ton of ownership on the Powell Kleber type plays. But if you're playing 2 to 3 of those guys, I would probably want one of Ant or Cat or Rudy Gobert on the comeback, just hoping that the game stays close. Kind of increase your likelihood for a ceiling performance out of all of these guys in that type of situation. I don't think I'll be doing that personally. I'm going to look to get away from some of these chalk pieces, the Tim Hardaway Juniors. I think Jaden Hardy's fine. But yeah, they could run pretty deep. I see a lot of like 10 to 11 guys projected to get minutes tonight. Markieff Morris was spotted in a starter's jersey this morning too. So if he starts, that he's probably going to get popular. But I think we've seen him start in situations like this in the past and only see 20 to upper teens minutes. I guess at min priced, he would be a pretty solid option, but we might not even need to go there on this type of slate where the highest price spend up right now is only 10K. So I don't know if we need to get to some of these min price value options. I know that Newens wants to talk about this Olivier or Maxence Prosper guy. He's benefited a lot in these types of situations in the past. I think that he would probably be a solid pivot to all these guys at little to no ownership. But I think the minutes range of outcomes is really wide for him. So you're taking a pretty big risk on a guy like him, but he's been a pretty solid point per minute guy when he's given the minutes. And I mean, if Rudy Gobert is matched up against Markieff Morris, he could legit have a 20-20 game. He might, with how many shots this team is going to miss, most likely with them not having very good offensive weapons, I think Rudy could have a massive rebounding game tonight and put up a pretty solid score.
Yeah, I like Gobert. If I had to pick Gobert, Towns, or Ant, I'd pick Gobert mainly for the savings a little bit, but I think even in a blowout, like you said, rebound, a lot of misses, which means Gobert is going to be under there collecting them, and he has no threats. Like none of these Dallas bigs. Maxi Kleber is the scariest one because he'll probably pull him away from the basket on pick and rolls, but I definitely like me some Gobert. And yeah, a lot of our chat's all over it. So I remember this most people watching probably remember it. It was 12-22 when all these guys were out. Markieff Morris did start that night, I believe, as well. And, I mean, they just couldn't get anything going. And that's when Prosper, where's the other one? Rashawn Holmes, and someone else had it as well in here, was on the optimal. It was 3 backups. Hardy and probably was Hardy too. He wasn't a backup, though. Hardy and Prosper shot the ball 30 times. And, yeah, Jason Kidd went to all the backups. So just because Dallas is projecting very well, they still do have bodies like Rio's saying. And if this game does get out of hand, who knows who's going to be in at the end. So I like if you need to fade someone, like I'd much rather fade Tim Hardaway than I would Jane Hardy too because of the price. So I think that's a solid shout. And then again, if you're playing like 4 main rotate, Grant Williams, Tim Hardaway, Josh Green, probably guys that wouldn't get blowout run, I do like adding one of those Minnesota pieces. So definitely important. And Cleveland's on a minutes limit. Remember that. Good stuff, Kid Lyman. Go ahead.
Look how sharp Jordan is. Mentioned that before I even I didn't see his comment, but yeah, that's definitely on the same page, which is always nice to see.
Any thoughts on if Conley? We didn't touch much on it. Conley news though, if he's out, do we need Naw on this slate?
I don't think so. Matchup would definitely be really good. This Mavericks team has been like one of the worst defensive teams in the past month or so. So I think that you could get there if you wanted to, but it's a different situation. You still have Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns there who are really big usage guys. So I don't think that it's the best situation for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But yeah, I mean, he is playing pretty big minutes in games that Conley has missed. So if you want to go there, I would not fault you for it. But I think I like some of the other guys in that same range over him.
Yeah, like Hardy's 4-4. Obviously, you could still play them both together, but it's not even close there. Even Grant Williams, we'll get to some of these cheap pieces on Denver. Low own tournament option, but I don't love it playing with all those other Towns guys that need to chuck. So we got 3 games left on the slate. Again, we appreciate that like button. 168 people hanging out. Hope all 168 of you are doing well. Desmond in here. What is going on? Takedown in here. Smash that like for good mojo. I uttered that as well. 3 games left. Orlando Magic, San Antonio Spurs, 226 total. Orlando favored by 5.5. Spurs side, injury report, Keldon Johnson questionable, Zach Collins questionable. Nothing on the Orlando side in terms of this game and interest. Pretty easy for me. Wemby, Paulo, Franz, or bust, I think. If you can talk me into a sell, Trey Jones, Wendell Carter, something, they'll be 1% owned. Maybe I'll listen, but Wemby, Paulo, Franz, and how much do I even love them, relatively speaking, on this slate? I don't know. Franz and Paulo, I think I'm good just avoiding the Magic. Wemby, I definitely have some interest in, though. But how do you see this game?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. On paper, this is a pretty decent spot for guys like Vassell and Trey Jones. The Magic have been really solid all year long defensively, but they have had their up and downs. Mainly in pick and roll defense. They are allowing the 5th most points to pick and roll ball handlers, and those are Trey Jones and Devin Vassell are the 2 main guys. in that category, but I don't think that there is really enough upside to them on this type of slate. Maybe on a smaller one, we could get to these type of guys, but almost 7K for Vassell, playing alongside a high usage guy like Wemby, Trey Jones, similar story. Don't think we need to go there. And then the Spurs kind of been the same story all year long for them. Really bad defense, allowing the 7th most rim points, and they're going up against one of the most aggressive rim attacking teams in the league. They're also bottom 4 in 3-point defense. Not really much of the Magic excel in that particularly. So I think that the guys that are going to be scoring around the rim would be the ones that we want to look to. Paulo Banchero, reasonable price tag for him, 8.4K, pretty solid ceiling ranking numbers. But with this Magic team getting a little bit healthier, we've seen the usage come down for Paulo a lot with, Fultz and Franz Wagner back in the lineup. So I do think that limits his upside a little bit. I think, $1,400 savings could go a long way on this slate. So give me Franz Wagner in a really good matchup. He's beaten up on weak rim defenses all season long. Some of his best games, DraftKings scoring wise, to come against teams that are profiling similarly to the Spurs. He scored 55.5, 52.3, and 46 DK points in 3 games versus the Wizards, who are very, very similar defensive team as the Spurs. So I think that he is a pretty high upside option at 7K. Really like him. And on top of that, the Spurs are bottom 4 pick and roll defense, allowed to opposing ball handlers in points per game. Franz is second on the team behind Paulo in points per game in pick and roll situations. I think that he makes a ton of sense. And yeah, like you said, Wemby is the only guy I think you're considering on the San Antonio side. Slightly negative matchup versus Magic, who are pretty well equipped to guard a player like him. They have a lot of size: Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter, Goga, Mo Wagner. So I think that they match up pretty well against Wemby, but that shouldn't really matter. I mean, Wemby's clear to play 30 minutes a game now, which is enough for me to play him at 9.2K.
100% to that. And yeah, good shout for Jordan talking about Fultz being back, and that pertains to people talking Jonathan Isaac started last game. Another Jonathan Isaac take. Yeah, he did start. He played 7 minutes. He got hurt, and he played, I think it was like 6 minutes. Came back in the second quarter, got hurt, didn't return to the game there. But again, Fultz didn't play that game. I think they'll probably go Fultz at the 1 and go back to the traditional starting lineup. Still, though, I mean, Isaac, he gets his 20 minutes, whatever, big point per minute guy. He has upside, but is this a slate for him?
I don't think so. I want to like him, but they proceed with very, very strong caution with Jonathan Isaac, obviously, with all the injury history, this team having, playoff aspirations. He's very important to their outlook in terms of playoffs from a defensive standpoint. So I don't think that they're going to really be extending him anytime soon.
Okay. Let me know what Mr. Powell did there, Sean. Talking basketball.
That's your forte right there.
Hey, always try and stay include. Know what's going on in the world. Getting the markets, getting the crypto. I like doing that for sure. So let me know what's going on, Sean. But Rio, for the giveaway, 2 people left. Do you have something in mind, or do you just want to do it? Again, I have names written down. If you pick 2 random numbers I give you, do you want to do it that way?
I did have somebody in mind. Somebody that has been a big supporter of us since we started doing these NBA shows. Been around for a really long time. Seems like a good dude. Always in here in chat, being very vocal. But mainly I'm choosing him because I want to hear you try to pronounce his last name. So Mark is the guy I'm choosing.
Mark. Amphavanasuk. Mark Amphavanasuk. I don't know. You let me know how I did, Mark, but definitely always in here. Very rightful winner. Good pick there. So, Mark, you did get the second giveaway. Yeah, Amphavanasuk. Let me know. Try and do those parentheses thing and let us know there. Okay, let's do our third giveaway. Mark, again, screenshot picture of your YouTube. Email info@shipitnation.com. We'll get you hooked up there. 1 left. I got 5 names or 5. So pick a number or number 1 through 5, and this will be the last winner right here.
Oh, I'm picking?
Yeah, well, 1 through 5.
Okay. 3.
3. James Forstrom. He was in there. He literally said he had a comment earlier. He's been following us for a while now, and then he said, "How do I get this membership?" I'll literally have put a tattoo of Title's face on my ass. And he goes, don't dare me, I would. So you don't have to do that. Definitely don't do that, please. But James, you did win the 3rd monthly membership. So again, shout out Parabuy. Take a picture of your YouTube, Michael, Mark, and then you, James. Picture your YouTube, info@shipitnation.com. Definitely don't do that, though, James. All right, 2 games left on the slate. Very big one right here. Denver Nuggets, OKC Thunder. 227 total. OKC favored by 6.5. On the Denver side, Jokic is out. Obviously, that is why Denver and Dallas, the story of the slate. No Jokic, no Luka. OKC side, Jalen Williams is out, which is pretty important. Man, if you had to stack one game on the slate, it would be this one. That's why I said I think Chicago, Charlotte would be 2, maybe 3 for me. But you have cheap pieces. DeAndre Jordan probably starts for Jokic. Will be popular at 4K. Jamal will be one of the more popular plays, 8.1K. MPJ, KCP, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, Reggie Jackson. Anyone that's really going to step on the floor, I think, is solid for Denver. Jokic wasn't expected to be out. Prices have not adjusted. OKC side too, though. No Jalen Williams, I think, pretty important. SGA 9.9, Giddey 5.9, Chet 7.4. Man, I think this start on the Denver side, but I think some of these OKC pieces in play too.
Yeah, so we should definitely see DeAndre Jordan step back in the starting lineup. Going to project really well. He should play 20 to 25 minutes tonight, I would assume. I do think that the Nuggets could run a little bit smaller with Peyton Watson stepping in as a small ball center. The Zeke Naji stuff has just not worked out this season. I don't think that they're really eager to give him big minutes anytime soon. So I think that Watson would probably be the next value option I would look to at 3.5K. He looks really, really solid. So I like him and DeAndre Jordan for sure as the value pieces. Jamal Murray obviously going to get a huge projection increase. Going to see a big usage bump, 30.3% with a 40% assist percentage with Jokic off the court this season. Going to run the show for them. But I will mention the downside to it because I do think that, paying 8.1K and not getting 50 from that spot is going to really hurt your lineups. Lou Dort who is in tonight. He was questionable. He got cleared to play. He has been he's done a really good job holding Jamal Murray in check in a couple games this season. So, there's the talk about Jamal Murray always gets up for these games against contending teams. Obviously going to be running the show tonight for the Nuggets. I think that he could for sure pay off this price tag, but just be wary of that. Lou Dort, very solid on-ball defender. I like Michael Porter Jr. in this matchup, regardless of Jokic's status, but now it's gotten even better. Obviously, more ownership is going to flow that way, but the Thunder are allowing the second most points to catch and shoot shooters, which is a really good news for Michael Porter Jr., who's 1, very cheap, and 2 is first on the Nuggets in catch and shoot points per game. So I think he makes a lot of sense at 5.7K. I don't have the numbers pulled up, but I think he averages around 38 DK points per 36 minutes with Jokic off the court this season, which is really good. Now he's going to play pretty big minutes tonight. Aaron Gordon, very good value as well, 5.4K. Doesn't really do much offensively outside of scoring around the rim. OKC's been a pretty solid rim defense all season long, but he's had some really good games dating back to last season with Jokic off the floor, had a couple 50 DK point games, a lot of 40s. So I think that he is a really solid option. Not sure if the ownership I'm looking at, I'm seeing around 20% for him. If he actually comes in, I think that's kind of low for him at 5.4K with the upside that he possibly has in this matchup and this situation. So I would like him a lot. I think that KCP would probably just be a pivot to these guys. Like I said, OKC vulnerable to catch and shoot shooters. So that's KCP's game. And then I guess Reggie Jackson would be okay to leave into your player pool as well, 3.6K, but doesn't really see his numbers, change much with Jamal Murray in and Jokic out. And then the OKC side, all these guys could clear to play besides Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe. And the biggest winner of those two guys missing would be Josh Giddey. He has a pretty modest usage rate, around 24%, 28% assist percentage with those guys off the court this season, but he averages around 43 DK points per 36 minutes. The issue with him is just the minutes have not really been there. I think that he probably gets extended a little bit more here, and 5.9K, pretty reasonable price tag for Giddey. He's shown really big upside at times, triple-double threat when he's given the minutes. Shai Gilgeous, going to see KCP defensively, which is, slightly negative matchup, but he's been one of the most consistent scorers all season long, so I don't really want to read into that too much. He's, just been playing out of his mind this season. And then Chet definitely gets a much easier matchup, not seeing Jokic tonight. Less foul risk, going to see DeAndre Jordan, so I think that he's okay to keep in your player pool, 7.4K, but don't really love it. Would much rather just get to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then I believe Aaron Wiggins is projected to start tonight, at least what I'm seeing. So I think that he would be okay as a value option, 3.3K, but it could also be Case and Wallace getting more minutes. They like to go to Kenrich Williams at times as well. Jalen Williams, backup center minutes as well. So I think that there's a lot of ways that OKC could play. They have a pretty deep bench right now as well.
Okay. Mark, Ampa having a souk. That's what I got. Ampa having a souk. Mark, let me know. It rings off the tongue. I think that's it. Mark, Ampa having a souk. Minus 150 was dying, though, because he saw people probably are just watching this driving or something, not looking at their phone and very confused on what was going on. So he, 2 minutes later, was just dying laughing and said he couldn't pronounce it. So let me know that. Shout out to you, King of Smack. He's not in here, but his buddy is. $89,000 parlay yesterday. King of Smack sent him over. So, yeah, Taylor, Swift's husband, definitely let King of Smack know. Ampa Vanasuk. Yeah, Ampa Vanasuk. Let me know. Ampa Vanasuk. I like that. Hopefully I pronounced that right, though.
I wonder where that name comes from. He looks like he kind of looks like Shavkat a little bit. Maybe he's from the same area of him. Yeah,
like Yeah, first of all, that was right. I was thinking maybe like Polish or something, but I have no clue. Back to this game quick though. How many would you max for Denver? And someone did ask the Wiggins and Wallace. If one of them start, I think they're fine for value. I do think Dallas and Denver value is better though, but I would pick the starter. And if neither of them start, I wouldn't go that route. But how many max Denver would you?
Yeah, we definitely have to we got to get Boomer's input on the OKC guys if he's watching.
Scandinavian.
Okay.
Mark Amp. Yep, Mark Amp it is for sure. Even though I actually got that. And that's a sick last name. Now I got it rolling off my tongue. All right, how many max Denver?
I think you could probably play 4 of these guys, to be honest, especially if you're looking at – I mean, you could start a pretty solid lineup with MPJ, Gordon, DeAndre Jordan, and Peyton Watson. I think that, you're not spending very much money on those 4 guys. It's about 31K, and you're still left with around 8K per position. Still have a center spot to fill, a couple guard spots if you want to. So I think that you could probably get away with 4 of these guys. I think I'd be okay with that. Will probably be max 1 Jordan and Zeke Naji if you're keeping him in your player pool. Probably max 2 of Reggie, Jamal, and KCP. And then I think that would probably be the only rules that I would make for this one.
Good, great stuff. Yeah, Denver, very important situation. We spent a decent amount of time on Denver, decent amount of time on Dallas. A lot of your lineup, though, like if you have half of your lineup, 5, 6 even with those 2 teams, I think you are doing things fine, 4 fine as well. Maybe Zion, Jared Allen news opens up a little bit. But for a 9-game slate on a Wednesday, I think most stuff more locked in than usual on this slate. So no Luka, no Jokic. Obviously, those 2 teams going to be the story of the slate. We got 1 game left. Again, we got our 3 winners. Shout out to you guys. Take a picture of your YouTube. Send it info@shipitnation.com. Anyone else looking to get in, though? PGA locks tomorrow morning. Make sure to check that out. Hoop and Tambo did a show, got all the content. MMA this week. NHL still going on. No NFL. Man, is it sad. We got 1 week next week. But, hey, next thing you know, MLB will be here. More sports to win some money. Head over to shipitnation.com. Weekly, monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Get in the Discord if you do join. And make sure to use promo code MAYO. I'm not even going to click the button. I'm scared it's going to lag or something's going to tweak. Use that promo code MAYO, though. Gets you 10% off. Yep, NHL tonight, too. Shout out Nades and the NHL guys there. Shout out to Lay the House, too. Probably not watching. Always in the NHL streets grinding, though. Last game of the night, not one I'm very interested in. Phoenix Suns, Brooklyn Nets. Actually, there's the Bucks at Portland game. Shout out Dane going back home. Showdown content that will be up on the site. 9 games main slate for DraftKings though, so we will not touch on that. Again, premium content. Rio will break that game down. We will have projections as well. I'm looking forward to Dane going back home. Phoenix Suns, Brooklyn Nets, 233 total. Phoenix favored by 3. Grayson Allen, Bol questionable on the Suns side. Brooklyn side, we got Ben Simmons questionable. Comes back, absolutely dominates, and now his knee's hurt. So he's questionable. I mean, I'm not going to be sitting around until 8:30 tinkering with my lineups because of Ben Simmons news. So if we get it, we get it. But, yeah, I mean, this game, kind of a fade for me. I guess talk about, like, what Ben Simmons, the offense, does for a guy like Cam Thomas or even Bridges and Cam Johnson. Does he get him more involved? Do you like the other players more because of him? That's what makes sense to me. But break down this one.
Yeah, Ben Simmons, really good game. First game back, played against my Utah Jazz where we just got absolutely blown out the gym. But yeah, he definitely makes offense run a lot better, a lot more smoothly, kind of similar to Draymond in some ways. I mean, he's always been a really gifted passer, is able to get his guys open. Obviously, he has the physical attributes, 6'10", great ball handler, all that stuff. Can't shoot a lick, but gets other guys involved. But yeah, Cam Johnson played much better playing alongside Ben Simmons. Same with Cam Thomas. I mean, even Mikal Bridges looked really good. He played 37 minutes in that game, shot 12 of 24, 6 for 14 from 3. So the offense definitely runs a lot smoother with Ben Simmons in there. But yeah, they could probably take some caution with him, just him returning from a pretty lengthy injury with the back stuff, and then this being a new injury with the knee. I believe he banged knees with somebody. I think it's just a contusion, if I'm not mistaken. But would not be surprised to see him get the night off here tonight. Hopefully, this is not a lingering thing. And then on the Sun side, did you mention Grayson Allen? I don't know if he's still questionable. Last time I checked, he was.
Yeah, him and Bol I still got questionable.
Okay, yeah. So if Grayson Allen's out, we saw Eric Gordon be the one to benefit last game. Saw 34 minutes off the bench. Had a really solid role, 23, 5 and 4 in that game, 44.5 DraftKings points. I think that he would be an okay value, not much better than any of the Dallas guys right now or the Denver guys, but he's always been a really solid fantasy option off the bench this season. I do like the spot for Devin Booker and Kevin Durant a bit, though. The defensive outlook looks much better for them with no Dorian Finney-Smith, no Ben Simmons. That would give these guys a much clearer path to a higher ceiling game. Booker obviously been shooting lights out lately, has games of real scoring points of 44, 62, 46, and 52 in the past week or two. Just been shooting amazingly. The Nets are bottom 2 in isolation defense this season. That's a spot where Devin Booker obviously excels in. The Nets have been getting beat in transition a little bit more too, which is kind of where Booker's been getting a lot of his points as well in this hot streak. So I think that he makes some sense at 9.7K. KD going to benefit from no Dorian Finney-Smith. Matchup would be a lot easier if Simmons were to miss as well. KD is the best ISO scorer on the Suns, but he's kind of taken a backseat to Devin Booker at times. Shot volume has been coming way down, taking 15 or less shots in 4 straight games. And I guess if you want to get into the revenge narrative stuff, going back to Brooklyn, he said he doesn't really care about it. I don't think he really cared about his time playing in Brooklyn. Not really too much to look into there, but if you wanted to buy into that stuff, then go right ahead. And the Suns been very vulnerable to on-ball defenders lately, or I guess with their on-ball defense. So I've been attacking them with guards all season long. So I think that Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas makes some sense. Cam Thomas back in the starting lineup, been obviously going to take a ton of shots. He's a hooper, always has the opportunity to score 40 real points, and at 6.3K, I think you have to consider him. And last one I'll mention, this would just be a pivot to some of the chalk forming around that same range, or what I assume will form in that low 3K tier. Lonnie Walker, no longer on a minutes limit. 27 minutes against Utah, put up 14 shots, 19 real points, 33.5 DK points. Just a pivot off of these guys. Lonnie's a really solid bench scorer as well, so I think that he's got some upside in this matchup. And like I said, guards are beating the Suns right now, so I think that he makes some sense. Not a ton of interest in this game though, just the spend ups and some value.
Yeah, like no Dennis Smith for me. I'd rather even go Lonnie Walker in the same team for cheaper. I like the KD and Booker talk. Yeah, there's no revenge in his blood. I definitely believe that. Give me Booker over KD. If picking one, I think all Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Cam Thomas all fine too. I don't want to get a ton of exposure to this game though, but a piece or two I think is fine is how I see it. But Booker, my favorite on the Sun side. And yeah, if Grayson Allen is out, Eric Gordon, I mean, he'll be super low owned. Good role last game. I think he would be interesting as well. All 9 games, baby. An hour talking hoops, giving away 3 memberships. Again, shout out Paraby. He's also giving away a 222 ticket to a member. Actually, I don't know for sure if it's a member. You have to just do it on Twitter. I think it's just a Twitter giveaway. So go to SHIPIT Nation Twitter. Go check that out. See how you can win that. But, hey, appreciate everyone hanging out in here. Appreciate a lot of the words. Hope everybody out there has a great Wednesday night. Any final words for the people, Rio?
No, not really. Let's keep the momentum going. Great night in the association last night. A lot of big winners outside of Parabay. We had a ton of guys finish in the top 10 in some of their respective tournaments. So let's keep the momentum going. Really like the slate tonight. Looking forward to talking more in Discord with people, get my core up pretty soon. But yeah, really looking forward to the slate. I hope that everybody has a good night tonight.
Let's do it, baby. Head over to ShipItNation.com. Everything will be updated throughout the night. Use that promo code Mayo. Gets you 10% off. Rio, I'm going to close it down like usual. If it doesn't work, try and hit close, end stream, etc. But good luck. Be safe, everybody out there. Have a great night.